All right, guys, we have our chairs on stage. May I invite our panelists, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Victor G from Manta Network, Shuyao Kong from MegaETH, Loy Lu from Caliber, and our moderator, Hubert Kotlinski from L2B. The topic that they are sharing today is to discuss finding their way on the Ethereum scaling roadmap. Ladies and gentlemen, take it away.
Test. Okay, so welcome everybody to our panel titled Fighting Our Way with the Ethereum Scaling Roadmap. So today I have with me Victor G, co-founder of Manta, Shuyao Kong, co-founder of MegaETH, and Loy Lu, founder of Kyber and Caliber. I hope I didn't butcher your names, guys. My Eastern European accent is very strong, as you could hear. Okay, so if you could just briefly introduce yourself and let the audience know what you are building and how you aim to contribute to like the broader Ethereum ecosystem, so they know. Yeah, let's start with Victor.
Hi everyone. I already shared like a little bit about Manta. I'm co-founder, CEO of Manta Network. We are the first and the largest modular L2, which means using other DA, using the other tech stack, but we build a platform, use ETH as a gas fee, and get quite good adoption. We were top 3 TVL in the all layer 2 space before. Right now, still top 10, and really focus on Southeast Asia and this area developer community and the user communities.
Yeah, thank you. So.
Yeah, you also just saw me. My name is Shuyao. You can also call me Brother Bing. I'm just LaPing as a dude on Twitter. So I'm one of the co-founder of MegaETH. Before MegaETH, I used to run global BDI consensus for 6 years. So covering products such as MetaMask, Infura, Linea, which was ETHKL24. I've also sunset some products. Truffle, anyone? Sunset Truffle, I've sunset Quorum, so RIP, Fed Chain.
Hi, hello? Is it working? Hi, everyone. My name is Loy. Let me see. So this is my second time in ETHKL. I think the first one was ETHKL 2018. And I think it was the first one. And I think it was a lot smaller, cozier, right? And I think probably only a few ETH people from Singapore, and also some of the OG here in KL, Matthew and Bobby from Koigako were in the speaker list. And I think it was, it's super exciting to see Ethereum has been growing a lot over the years, right? But quick intro about myself. I started Kyber back in 2017 as one of the earliest decentralized chains. And I think I stepped out probably 2.5 years ago-ish, and started becoming more hands-on in investing and helping our new founders, right, in building new application, new infrastructures to scale up Ethereum, and been around, working with a lot of different Ethereum researchers through the years, seeing all the trend from sharding, layer 2, and now a lot more other things, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So
you should introduce yourself too.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. My name is Hubert, and I am part of the L2B team almost from the start of the project. So what we are doing is we are basically gathering the data about all of the layer 2 solutions, soon also about DA solutions, and we are also verifying all of the ZK circuits in all ZK projects, so you actually know that the projects claiming to use ZK actually use the tech and are not just using it for the marketing purposes. So we are kind of, like a fact-checking neutral watchdog of our space. So coming back to the topic of our panel, so Ethereum scaling roadmap, I have it open here on my phone. So just looking at it quickly, we have the Purge, the Splurge, the Verge, so many weird names, and I wonder who came up with those, probably Vitalik, I guess. And I guess during this panel, we'll mostly focus on the merge and the surge. So one dedicated to perfecting the proof of stake consensus, and the other to enable Ethereum to process many more transactions, allowing wider adoption. Because let's be real, like compared to Visa or Mastercard, right? 12 transactions per second are looking seems terrible, right? So I think like to look forward and understand our way with this huge roadmap, we need to also look a bit into the past, right? So let's maybe quickly imagine that we are the merge just happened, the rollups were something new, like the proof of stake just happened, right? There weren't so many L2s out there. So what were you guys thinking back then, right? What were your plans? Why did you started, thinking about the projects that you actually built that and are in charge of today? So maybe Victor, you could start.
Yeah, I feel Manta always have their kind of own explanation of the Ethereum, different terms and different kind of alignment. But in general, the reason we explain in different way is we are more focused on user, and I think that's the eventual the only right thing we are doing to get mass adoption, or should do to get mass adoption. I think in terms of the roadmap, I just think actually right now still compared to last year, I would say last year basically the whole Ethereum ecosystem wasted a year focus on talking about which is ZK type 1 to type 4 EVM, and all of this time being wasted make Solana great again, and if Ethereum focus on DeFi, or respect the DeFi founder same as the L2 founder, it can great again after the Solana. So let's see how that work. But that's how I think what we try to explain is the layer 2 is basically, first thing is you use Ethereum as gas fee. That's how you align Ethereum. That's what I think Vitalik talked about 5 different points recently. That's actually the most important points, right? You're building on Ethereum and then use some random token as gas fee. Does not make sense. But on top of that, how to make balance the security, balance the scalability, and at the same time make user easy to use. That's how we've been keep thinking, and that's why we use Celestia DA at the beginning, and then right now we have multi DA. There's 6 different DA right now, running at the same time. But I think eventually we will choose the cheapest DA, and we will also have fast finality, make the withdrawal have less period, and also leverage this AVS, restaking, and but we try not to keep playing the TVL game. We try to get users. That is eventually the roadmap. I think Ethereum should focus more, and we are keep building that. But we have limited impact. We cannot cover the whole world user. But in our roadmap, we start from Southeast Asia, and because we have strong community here and builder here.
Okay, so you mentioned multi-DAs, right? So one of the questions that I always having when I'm talking about Manta is to basically why so many DAs, right? Why not just enable Blobstream on Celestia, right? Get the data verified on Ethereum and call it a day. Why your approach, right, to scaling Ethereum is like that with so many different DAs?
Yeah, I mean, I think from user perspective, very honest reason, more DA, more airdrop, right? User willing to have different kind of get different kind of product and experience, and eventually get airdrop. That is I think for user they can get incentive. But at the same time, I do have to say Celestia right now still cheaper. If a Blob come to that same level, we probably switch back. But also I think the partner working with us, we try to grow together. And I do think, Celestia in the early days help us grow. That's why we keep having this kind of kind of the ship the product together with them and like make user educate the modular blockchain, and that's kind of become what our part of the roadmap.
Okay, so does MegaETH has the same approach as Manta, or?
Yeah, I think we're quite different. I mean, we use EigenDA because my co-founder literally wrote the EigenDA white paper. So we also believe that they are high throughput. But also, I mean, we are very different from Manta from another regard is we innovate on the sequencer, right, on the execution environment. And we don't really think too much about DA or the consensus part. We're using optimistic proof for now, but we actually believe ZK is the future. But I think the beauty of MegaETH is we don't try to own everything. Right? Rather than build everything from scratch, we use what other people have done so well. And we're willing to give what we've done so well to others as well, which is actually optimizing the sequencer. So for example, we rewrote the entire state trie. And that's really 99% of Ethereum performance bottleneck, if no one knows about that. We also invented our own parallelization. So compared to what Monad and Movement, all of them using block STM, which is the move, which is coming from Aptos. Our engineer actually developed our own parallelization, which is actually 10x better than everything else. But then, yeah, we use everything else that Ethereum is doing really well. So I think we're very different from a technical perspective. But like, to answer your earlier question, right? I feel like that question would be a good one to some of the early layer 2 team. Like, it would be a really good question to Arbitrum, to Starkware, to ZK Sync. I think at this point, Ethereum is not about technical trade-off as much as about if you're building an ecosystem, you're automatically building an application at the same time. No matter how good your technology is, if you don't have a few flagship application, you're going to die. Like, I'm sorry. You can't get your narrative, you can't get your users. And I think that's what, like, Solana is the best thing that has happened to Ethereum. I mean, they're centralized, they're gonna die, but they're very good for Ethereum because they tell us what is important.
Yeah, so you, because as I understand, MegaETH is focused on becoming like a universal L2, right? So you wouldn't say that, like, what you are saying, the better approach would be to just focus on upchain with like one specific use case?
Yeah, the other reason we are the real Solana is because we believe in a global state machine. We believe that if your chain is powerful enough, you can solve the noisy neighbor issue. You can have multiple applications live on the same chain to explore interoperability, capital efficiency. So why would you sacrifice that for app chain where you still have to worry about bridging and user experience and etc., right? Like, that's why sometimes we believe that MegaETH solves fragmentation because the chain is like freaking powerful. And I think what Solana has taught Ethereum is that it's powerful to have a global state machine. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. But we're like, if you remember one thing, we're just way better than Solana because we have Ethereum.
Okay, so I wonder what the founder of Kyber will say about it, since, you know, liquidity hub and everything, multi-chain.
I could say, okay, so I think like some sort of like story, like from history. Okay, so I think like back in 2017, I think Ethereum, I mean, we already like saw the sort of like, you know, the chain clocking and stuff because of all the ICO craze and also like CryptoKitties, and people started like talking about like how can we like scale Ethereum, right? I think the reality was that, you know, we didn't have all the technology that we had today, right? We didn't have like ZK, we didn't have like a lot of like, you know, network improvement and, you know, all the improvements on hardware as well. So I think Ethereum as a community, like I think we discussed a different solution, right? There was like state channel, there was like plasma, there was like sharding and stuff. And I think
Vitalik still loves plasma from what I know, so.
I think it's still a sound concept. It's just that, I mean, I think like in terms of like my share and also like attention, I think Rollup is obviously winning, right? And I think, and obviously like Rollup was only like brought back alive like probably 3 years ago-ish. And, you know, it became like the main direction, right, for Ethereum scaling. But yeah, I mean, like, I think from Kyber's perspective, I think back then when we started, I think obviously our role was like, you know, we focus on liquidity, we focus on users, and that's how, I mean, our way of like scaling Ethereum back then was that, one, we need to bring a lot more users to Ethereum, right? I mean, because like end of the day, if you don't have users, then what are you gonna scale for, right? And two, I think we did a lot of work in order to bring other asset to Ethereum. So we started like Wrap BTC with BitGo and a couple of other guys. And obviously like now it's become like a 9-10 billion FDV kind of like asset. We also like try to bring in other like asset that was popular back then, like EOS and stuff, to Ethereum, right? So we built the first like trustless kind of like bridge between Ethereum and EOS, and we call it like the peace relay. It's like there was a huge like conflict between EOS and Ethereum back then. I mean, not as big as like, you know, Solana and Ethereum now, but like, you know, they were like probably like one of the only few competitors. But yeah, I think like, you know, I think there are different ways to scale Ethereum as well. I mean, like we're talking a lot about like TPS and like making like cheaper and things like that. But there's also like, you know, the like improving the number of users that can use Ethereum, the amount of asset that Ethereum can serve, right, and then can host. And I think that's also equally important.
Okay, so I really love that you mentioned the users, because I have additional questions to all of you. Like, do you think that the current roadmap of Ethereum is like too much research oriented and not like product oriented to actually like, you know, like get the masses, but only like kinda like come up with more complicated pieces of tech? What do you think, Victor?
I mean, of course, I do believe that. I'm a product guy myself, and I mean, like, I don't like shilling, you know. I don't think, you know, like, I think, you know, there definitely, you know, something, you know, I think for Solana, they make it like come again, maybe more to help a bit, but I do think, you know, the focus on like ecosystem and product actually make, you know, Solana get a lot of traction again. Because I keep talking Solana because I learn a lot from, you know, how they like focus on ecosystem, focus on product. And I want to use that into the, you know, like see if that can help on Ethereum as well. But, you know, like I think after this, I think 7 years right now, and especially recently, I read a book, you know, about the history of Ethereum. Back in the day, you know, like about the rollback, about the, you know, how Ethereum start, and all these co-founder, and then eventually left. I find, you know, like this is the ecosystem, start from a bunch of nerds and a bunch of geeks. But how this kind of eventually, you know, run a country cannot run by a bunch of nerds. That is a problem. But, you know, like on the other side, I think, you know, other like Solana or Binance, they're not coming from like, you know, kind of this kind of decentralization thinking, but they kind of thinking how to survive first. And they didn't get much recognition. So they need to prove themselves and keep working hard and get recognition, at the same time acquire enough user, at the same time they push, you know, their tech stack getting better. I've been thinking, you know, like Ethereum keep pushing the tech stack, focus on like type 1 to type 4, like, you know, ZK EVM last year, and right now just focus on like base the roll up. I feel this goes totally wrong direction, you know, like base roll up have, you know, maybe 1% TVL of the total roll up. What the fuck is that? You know, they didn't even like bring some real user. They're parasite the existing user, and they've been keep mentioned by Vitalik. It's now makes sense, and but you know, like I'm glad. The great thing about Ethereum is you don't have to rely on Vitalik or rely on Ethereum Foundation to recognize you. You can still success. That is the power of decentralization, and that is something I've been keep having, like, you know, bullish about the ecosystem.
So I think like MegaETH is kind of in the middle, right? So like in the middle of tech and users, or
I don't like to mid-curve anything, so I'm not mid-curving that either. Sorry, what was your question? That we're mid-curving?
Yeah, no. So like I always thought, like, at least from what you are like posting and, you know, sharing, that you always like you focus on the like tech perspective on this research, but also at the same time you want to actually get new users onboarded, as all of those new L2s are kind of focused on, right?
Absolutely. So we have this builder program called Mega Mafia, and we call it the YC of Ethereum because it's extremely difficult to get in. And if you can't build something that's completely 0 to 1, that actually uses Ethereum, a blockchain, and you're not a grifter, so if you can't fulfill any one of the three, we actually kick you out. It's the most competitive program. And the goal is we're going to have a bunch of applications that graduate from Mega Mafia that all of you guys can use, right? So the decentralized VPN is one of them. I hope no one uses Web2 VPN because you're actually selling your data. Biome, which is a fully on-chain Minecraft, is also there. We have a decentralized Luma, right? We're in crypto. Why are we using Luma? And the only crypto interaction of Luma is it allows you to input your crypto address, which is, I think, most likely a Solana address. Whereas Lemonade, which is a event application on MegaETH, what they're allowing you to do is to really clock your granular level detail interaction with an event, right? So for example, you come to ETHKL. The moment you sign in, for example, you start earning token, and you can decide what the token will do, right? So all of a sudden, you actually have a profile of what you did with an event. Or I have been hosting Hotpot DAO for the last 5 years. One of my biggest problems is people register and they don't show up, right? Like I actually want to tear those people apart because I actually pay for their food. But what if I allow them to stake and I slash them if they don't show up? Actually, that's going to be a fucking game changer to my life. So we're thinking about this like a really small, innovative interaction with the blockchain that's also like user-friendly to bring people on-chain, right? And that's the goal of MegaETH. A lot of the technology we're doing is really behind the scene. I always saying this to everyone, like a Mega Mafia application, this Web3 application will be bigger than MegaETH. Like, I hope in 2 or 3 years, no one knows this bunny ears because everybody is using our application. I think the other point is I really empathize what Victor said about why I love about Ethereum is that when we are building MegaETH, I don't have to go to Ethereum Foundation for any acknowledgement, 0. And I'm pretty sure they don't like what we're doing because we're a freaking centralized sequencer, right? We're proud centralized sequencer. But I'm still able to like attract users because everyone loves Ethereum, not because Ethereum Foundation. So this is so powerful, and we have to talk more about it. And the other thing is, at the end of the day, I don't think Ethereum is talking too much about research. This is in our DNA. Ethereum loves research and loves cutting-edge technology. I think what Ethereum has is a coherent marketing problem. We need to tell the world why we are so different. I love what Skylar posted early on, which is the idea of a global computer, right? So nowadays, the more I think about what Ethereum is, the more I go back to 2017 narrative, which is we are building a world computer. Permissionless, that's open, that's a synchronous transaction, right? I want more people to talk about world computer rather than more layer 2s.
Okay, but wouldn't you say that basically this like huge research focus of Ethereum community is actually what allowed us to be where we are here? Like a lot of other ecosystems tried to do like a multi-chain ecosystem as well, but none of them actually achieved that, like Polkadot and all of the others, or Cosmos even. So wouldn't you say that even though that we are not so great at marketing right now, at least, like thanks to that research orientation and like adding the new things a bit slower than other ecosystems, that's why we are actually succeeding?
You mean why we're succeeding?
Yeah, like basically like this like research, like because like I would say that at least for like last couple of years, like this research focus over the user focus is what actually allowed us to have projects like yours, right? To actually have the product.
Well, I think if MegaETH was born earlier, we would not have Solana, to be honest. I think we came too late because it was very obvious that someone needs to innovate on the sequencer. But I think everyone was flooding to build another ZK EVM, which, by the way, I built one myself, which was linear within consensus, right? It's a different ZK EVM that uses some sort of ZK proof that honestly no one cares, and it's still very expensive. Now, I'm not discouraging more ZK EVM, more ZK, because it's cool and it's going to be useful one day, and it's built, anti-fragility to the entire ZK stack. But I think that if we were more user-focused, someone else could have built MegaETH. And by the way, the idea of MegaETH is not even novel. Vitalik wrote in his 2021 blog post, it's called Endgame, in which he wrote, the endgame of a scalable blockchain within Ethereum is one with relatively centralized block production, very decentralized block validating. That's exactly what MegaETH is, right? Centralized sequencer allows you to continuously stream blocks. And then you have an extremely light validating network. You can freaking run it on your mobile, right? That gives you the correctness and censorship resistance. So if we were more user-friendly, I think we would have done it earlier on.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so like we are slowly running out of time, so maybe a couple open questions. So first one, so from your perspective, what are the key factors that will push Ethereum to mass adoption right now that are like part of the our scaling roadmap, right? Like in which ones you should actually we should actually focus on. So maybe like maybe from the perspective of Kyber, so like the more like user-oriented.
I mean, I think first of all, I think we have to be clear that I think there are a lot of innovation on Ethereum that actually no other ecosystem has. I mean, like you talk about like infrastructure, like core layer 1, layer 2 innovation, but also like in terms of like application innovation, there are tons of like innovation out there. But like basically, you cannot replicate them on Solana or like other ecosystem, because this is not the right environment, right? Let's just take, so just talk about, say, DEX aggregation or like DEX in general, right? I think like there are like, I think like every now and then there will be like chains in the top like 5 of like, number of players in DEX and DEX aggregator in EVM chains. But on Solana, like, you probably have like only 1 or 2, and that's it. Mainly because like there's not much room for innovation there, right? And like people just talk, I mean, end of the day, like, what's the point of using DEX aggregator if people only trade on pump.fun, right? And I think on EVM, I think it's a much broader ecosystem, and there's a lot room for you to innovate, from protocol level, from like infrastructure level and user level as well, right? I think I've seen like a lot more focus from the Ethereum community on the user experience, from the onboarding, and also like people are talking a lot more about like account attraction and all the different like standards, right? To make sure that one, it's going to be a lot easier for people to be onboarded. It's going to be less confusing. Like, for example, now if we give someone an address and we need to tell them it's a Ethereum address, right? It's a layer 1 address. It's not like OPBNB. It's not like, Optimism. It's not Arbitrum address. And I think a lot of more standard between like communication between layer 2s is also quite important. And I think I think
basically taking care of the fragmentation that we have right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, like eventually, like what you want to have is users, they just use Ethereum and they just don't know, like, whether they are on MegaETH, whether they are on like Optimism, whether they are on layer 1, right? And
wouldn't you say that right now, for example, the focus is like to connect all of the projects using the same stack, right? So OP stack and like Arbitrum Orbit and ZK Sync, Elastic Chain, they all want to have like the shared liquidity. So you wouldn't say that?
I think at the moment there's still some fragmentation because of like multiple standard, multiple approaches into scaling, and even like for like account attraction, there are like different like groups working on different things, right? But I think eventually in the next like 5 to 10 years, I think everything will converge into one winning standard, or more like one sort of like united standard, right?
I mean, all of those L2s also has huge roadmaps, right? So
I mean, just
eventually we'll get there.
So I mean, from the perspective of say a DEX or like DEX aggregator, like eventually users, they won't know like whether they're using like Kyber or they're using 1inch or like 0x or Uniswap, right? They will just like go to the say MetaMask or like Rappi wallet or whatever wallet, and then they just do the trade from there, because like everything else is abstracted away from the users. So they don't need to care like whether the SS is on MegaETH or like Optimism or Arbitrum, right? They just do it. I think that's the futures.
Okay, thank you very much. So for the last question, I just wanted to ask you guys, do you think that we'll be able to actually finish this seemingly unending roadmap that is, I don't know, like still planned for another like 10 or 15 years, right? And the EVM will maintain its leading position as the smart contract platform, or will like eventually like some other L1 will get this place out of us? What do you think, Victor?
I mean, like I'm definitely still bullish Ethereum, and we are keep like try to get more new new builders. And some builder, they go to other ecosystem, we try to take them back. But I think the approach probably definitely not only use the Ethereum approach. Maybe learn from other blockchain doing great things, and then even the smart contract language. I don't think EVM will dominate the whole smart contract language, unfortunately, because it's not designed for the adoption. It's just designed from Gavin Wood. If he try to design for adoption, Polkadot will become Solana. Unfortunately, everyone left.
You have the tools that are using alternative VMs right now, right?
Yeah,
So
right now, but
and all of
eventually maybe we will do more things. I think because we use EVM, I find the problem is we build the whole ecosystem, everything is full landscape, but then builder come from Polygon and Arbitrum OP, and then they go Scroll, and then they will go Monad and maybe MegaETH. And it's endless game, but they're not keep thinking about literation product. That's what Lois said about, we don't need so many DEX aggregator, but we need one Jupyter level DEX aggregator. They can keep literation product. And the Ethereum should support this kind of builder who keep literation product rather than go farm every chain.
So I guess we can summarize that up as we are still positive about the whole Ethereum ecosystem, and that we will take our time and eventually we will get there, right? We ran out of time as well, so I hope all of you learned something cool today, and yeah, thank you very much for coming to the stage with me today. And if any of you want to learn a bit more about any of our projects and about more about our views and approaches to Ethereum, be sure to catch us after the panel. We'll be probably just running around the conference for today and tomorrow. So yeah, thank you very much one more time.
Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for finding our way with the Ethereum Scaling Roadmap panelists.